In this tutorial, we will do a PhysX attract in TyFlow in 3ds Max. First thing you want to do is to add an object for your particles to be attracted to. So I chose the sphere and clicked and dragged to get the size that I wanted. Next, click on the TyFlow button and click in your window to add the TyFlow icon. Next, you want to go to the helpers option, and then in the drop down menu go to TyFlow. Choose Ty icon and locate it in your window a distance away from your target object. This is where the particles will get burst from. Click up here to choose Select and Move tool, and then click on your TyFlow icon and go to the Modify panel. Under the settings, click on PhysX and find where under World it says Default Gravity and untick that option. Scroll back up and click Open Editor. Adjust this so that you can see part of your screen. Click and drag Birth into the editor window. We want the particles to be birthed from the icon, so we need to find Position icon, click and drag and put underneath the birth, and then select Pick and pick your Ty icon. Now see that there are particles being birthed onto that surface. Next, what you want to do is to select Speed and click and drag it beneath the position icon. At the moment, the particles are at random 3D, so in the direction we want to click on the drop down arrow and select a long icon arrow. Then come down to icons, select the pick button and pick the Ty icon. Now you can see that the particles are following this arrow downwards. Next thing we want to do is to add a shape to these particles. So find shape and click and drag it underneath Speed. At the moment, 2D triangles are selected, but we still just see the dots because in our display, it's got small dots selected. So in the drop-down menu under Type, when you've selected Display, click it and say Geometry. So this will show the geometry that we have selected. Now we don't want 2D triangles, so scroll down and select in the mesh type 3D. And what we want is, let's go with a sphere mid-res. So now you can see our particles have turned into spheres. So now you can see if we drag the animation time, our spheres are getting birthed along the arrow. Next, what we want to do is to make these spheres a PhysX shape. So select PhysX shape and drag underneath the shape in the birth event. In the Hold tab, click the drop down arrow and select sphere. This is the shape we've got. Now you can see that the objects are getting birthed. So if we select our Ty icon and bring it up in the Z axis and then drag our animation icon, we can see that the spheres drop and then at 0 they bounce back up again, but we turned gravity off, so they will continue bouncing back up. Next, you want to find Send Out and click and drag that underneath PhysX shape. And then you want to select Time Test and drag that to be a new event. Connect Send Out to the time test So this is telling the particles to wait for this certain amount of time and with that amount of variation. So we might change it to 5 with a lot of 2 variation, and we'll make sure that the display is set to geometry. And then nothing will change because they haven't got another event to then go to. Next, we want to find target. So that is in the yellow section called find target, and click and drag that to create a new event. And then we're connecting the time test to the find target. So if we click on find target, you can see down here there's a space to pick your target object. So if you select pick and pick our sphere, you now see that if we drag our animation along, then the particles are now attracted to the object. In this lot of settings, you can also change the speed of the particles. So we might say that they travel at 5 meters velocity, and that'll make them go a bit slower. Next thing we want to do is add a PhysX collision. So click and drag PhysX collision under find target. Select pick and select our sphere as the colliders. This will mean that the particles will not go through the sphere and will instead gather on its surface. We can change the hole type to sphere to get a better accuracy of collision. At the moment, the particles are being attracted to the closest point of the sphere. If we go back to find target and scroll down, we can see that, I think I just changed something, that we can change the point to random, and we can change the target location to random as well. So now as they come along, they go to random points of the sphere. So to show the effects of the time test more, we can go back to the time test and set the value to maybe 20. And now we can see that the particles will travel downwards for 20 frames before being attracted to the object. Actually, the variation means that they will change direction between 18 and 22 frames. So we could change that to say 5, and that means that between 15 and 25 frames, they will start to move towards the object. So that can add some variation to it.